ero futi natukwata abana bambya bakasukulu bambi bali akuma university bambi bali akuni ba grade 10 kuma boarding schools ndombanga tatipokera rupia fish twala bomfya
mwebo tusala mweba dingiro kutupera komutende mukati kabwika shibwesu ni mwebo shibuli munenzu nafu apa mulandi wa mifolese sheyi ishiweme yakuite chintu bwingi panchende imo kabiri panchita imo eryo bakabwala nabema bwabashibomba pakumona kutira nombe mpia shafula batampo kuipa bashibulimi awe bubwafya bwena bwakula tukesafirwa ku misalo bushikubuleko nkapo icho mwishi byokutira namayiro mukabwela ukwisa kuifobene fo mwamono bupubalelo ukwisa mkutu chusho musango imata batu ashitishe mu August ukufika lelo mwaisa na mkutu titikishapo kutuipairapo pamulandu wa mtalamesho twachulira
okuirishanya kwandikwa kutira ifichitike tafire tusekesha ifenga bashulimi twasango kweba ati nyeo Yesu iri mukayo.
Susan Chongo, a mother who has been coming to the bank with her baby, says she has been waiting for a payment since Tuesday, describing the situation as stressful and exhausting.
So umwana oyu ndina oyu ni nchula sana icha kuti musungi ero kuma toilet urupia nshikwetu ro kuti ni ngaya mukulipira uri wakulira mo lonse nshikwetu ka transport na alipire nako eti akakulira mo nako nakapoa nomba twafwe ntwa papa te imfolese sheirabwe kishapulibiri.
The farmer, Mike Chirufia, has expressed concern over the health and well-being of farmers who continue to queue for long hours without certainty of payment.
Imifolele Yesu tairera ngati tuli bantu. Upo tuwaishira pa Tuesday basiri announce kuti license ngama farmers musende mpya shenu. Kufika nelelo tulife pano peni. Imirali Yesu tatukwata security. One tulela mu stations ero mpya shakutwala kuma toilets tatukwete. Meaning life Yesu mumi kalirenga ku health iri pariski.
Efforts to obtain a comment from the police on the alleged murder were unsuccessful by broadcast time. Pasco Makabila, Prime TV News in Mansa, Luapula Province.
One person has died while 3 others sustained injuries following a road traffic accident that occurred along the Great North Road in Mpika district of Mchinga Province. Mchinga Province Police Commanding Officer Dennis Mola has confirmed the incident to Prime TV2 News, saying the accident involved a truck and a private motor vehicle. More in the following report.
A fat road traffic accident occurred yesterday around 12 hours along the Great North Road at Danger area, about 28 kilometers north of Mpika town. Mchinga Police Commanding Officer Dennis Mola confirmed to Prime Television News that the accident involved a whole Sino truck belonging to Daon Logistics Company and a Toyota Spatial. The whole Sino truck bearing registration numbers ADF 841ZM and ADF 842ZM was being driven from the north direction to the south direction by 43-year-old Chongo Kandule of Maken area in Lusaka. Police say the truck sustained damage to the front bumper, right headlamp, and gills, while the driver and his 2 passengers escaped unhurt. The Toyota Spatial bearing registration number ALC 6977 was being driven from south to north by 42-year-old. The Toyota Spatial bearing registration number ALC 6977 was being driven from south to north by 40-year-old Moses Sokoni of Kamwanya compound in Mpika district. He sustained fatal head and body injuries, was pronounced dead upon arrival at Mpika Urban Clinic. Mr. Mora said the body of the deceased has been deposited in mortuary at Mpika Urban Clinic waiting post-mortem examination. 3 juvenile passengers who were on board the Toyota Spatial sustained injuries and were admitted to Michael Chirufia Sata Hospital for treatment. The injured include a 4-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl and a 15-year-old girl, all of whom sustained various body injuries. Police investigation have revealed that the accident occurred when the driver of the whole Sino truck failed to keep to his near side and collided with oncoming Toyota Spatial. Police have since launched investigations into the accident as they continue to appeal to motorists to observe traffic rules and exercise caution when using the Great North Road. Richard Simba reporting for Prime TV News, Mpika, Mchinga Province.
The body of a 25-year-old man of Kapiri in Ponchi district in Central Province, who drowned in Mlungushi River earlier this week, has been retrieved after more than 26 hours of searching. The deceased, identified as Python Mambwe, was recovered on Tuesday, 13th January 2026, at around 15:27 hours by a team of Kawe Fire Brigade officers with assistance from members of the local community. Speaking after the retrieval, Headman Lukunta expressed disappointment over what he described as a delayed response by the police, alleging that officers took long to visit the scene and formally collect the body. Joseph Siambihi has the details.
It was a second day to search for the body of 25-year-old Python Mambwe, a resident of Zambia compound in Kaperimposhi district who drowned in Mulungushi River on the 12th of January 2026. After 5 hours of searching using all means, the body was retrieved at 15:27 hours by the firefighters with the help of community members.
Is there anyone who has sustained an injury since we started the operation, or who is not feeling well? No, sir. And we are ready to go?
Yes, sir. The body was later picked by the firefighters and community members in readiness to be examined by police. It has been 2 hours from the time the fire brigade and rescue team from Kabo Municipal Council retrieved the body of Python Mambo, age 25, who drowned in Mulungushi River on the 12th of January 2026. The delay by police to come and pick the body is a concern.
Police ebafuira ku bapantanshi so tachiremoneka muchakwati vakapokola valecherwa ukwisa leti fo community efwe ture kwanisha kwabula omuntu wa ufuire then bena balisa kumona kofi icho ndende kusesha abalelova mukwa yabalelova ngachakwati na ushoke bati nenda lwala ko bulwele bwa kupona na ngubulwele bwabo buli bonse tafo kula sangwa kumumana.
Reporting for Prime TV News in Kaperimposhi district, Joseph Siambihi.
This is Prime TV2 News of the Week on Prime TV2. This is an 84-year-old man of Kangwena area in Mshindamo district, Northwestern province, has narrated how he narrowly escaped death after being attacked by a mob during a Kikondo procession. The Kikondo procession is a traditional practice in which a coffin carrying a deceased person is believed to lead the mourners to the individual suspected of causing the death, often through alleged witchcraft. According to the victim, he was rescued from the enraged mob by a good Samaritan who whisked him away and later took him to a clinic for a medical checkup on January 10th, 2026. Meanwhile, during the same procession, a 47-year-old deputy head teacher at Kangwena Primary School was also attacked. Fearing for his life, the teacher has since fled his home and sought refuge in Solwezi. Our staffer Jackson Mwansa has the details in the following report.
I'm Emmanuel Ngambi. I'm a minister in the church at Kangwena Community Center. When Monday, I was in the house having lunch, and all of a sudden I saw a community running around, and I was told, no, there is something which they call Chikondo. They are moving around, they moved first to the graveyard, but all of a sudden they turned back from the graveyard, they went to the community, to the marketplace. They started moving from place to place. I was in my house eating my lunch. But all of a sudden, I found the whole community was now coming straight to my place. They came and placed the coffin at the doorsteps of my house. And then the stones started raining on the roof of my house. Then there was the shattering of windows, doing everything. Eventually, I was dragged out when the coffin was in the doorsteps of my house. And then there was a beating on me with the planks. the bricks until they dragged me to the place of a funeral. I was put in the ring, but eventually someone, a good man, he observed the situation was not good for me. My breathing was bad because of what I had been subjected to. So he just came and grabbed me out from the ring.
Several families in Wengwa constituency of Monza district have been left homeless after their houses were submerged by flood waters following a heavy downpour in the area. A check by Prime Ptv2 News found some affected families stranded along the roadside as they searched for temporary shelter after their homes were washed away. One of the victims, Bridget Kaunga, said her family lost all their belongings, including 7 goats that were swept away by the fast-flowing water. Another resident agent, Mulomba, said the floods also destroyed their maize fields, wiping out crops that were meant to sustain his family. Meanwhile, Wengwa Member of Parliament Mijelo Gasauta has expressed sadness over the situation, noting that several families in the constituency has been affected by the floods. Mr. Gasauta has assured the displaced families that he will engage the government through the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, to ensure timely assistance is provided. John Shikabe was present and brought us this report.
Wengwa constituency in Monza district of Southern Province has recently been hit with a natural disaster that has left many families without homes. Heavy rains caused floods in the area, submerging people's homes and leaving them homeless. As a result, families have been forced to seek shelter on the side of the road with no place to call home. One of the affected community member, Bridget Kaunga, shared her heartbreaking story of losing everything in the flood. Not only were her home and belongings washed away, but her 7 goats also could not survive the water current. Bridget Kaunga and her family are left with nothing, not even enough food to feed themselves. They are forced to face the cold nights with no shelter, clothes and blankets. Another resident, Agent Mulomba, expressed his concerns about how his family will survive after all their planted maize fields were submerged in water. Their main source of food and income has been taken away, leaving them in a dire situation. Mulomba is calling on the government, specifically the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unity, to step in and provide assistance to the affected families. Wengwa area member of parliament, Mijelo Gasauta, is also saddened by the situation.
To a point whereby the water now, is going through the tarmac. I think we really need, to work extra hard with the contractor so that we can remedy the situation. Then coming also to the people who are living in those lowland areas, a kind request to them that they leave those areas as soon as possible because these rains will continue.
Area member of parliament is aware of the devastating impact the flood has had on the families in his constituents, and he is determined to do everything in his power to help them. John Shikabe, Prime TV News, in Monza District, Southern Province.
A 22-year-old former inmate of Kawe in Central Province has been left homeless and is now spending nights on the streets following his release from prison. Mulenga Piri told Prime TV2 News that he was convicted after being jointly charged and arrested by the Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, together with a friend for being in possession of marijuana. Mr. Piri says after serving his sentence and regaining his freedom, he found himself with nowhere to go as his rented house had already been occupied by other tenants and all his household's belongings were lost. He has since appealed to well-wishers for assistance, saying supporting him in the form of basic necessities would help him survive and rebuild his life after incarceration. Joseph Zambia has the details.
He walks to meet this journalist to share his story. Mulenga Piri, a Kabwe-based ex-convict. What happened?
Kwali munandi watu washipenda na yena kukapili kuna alebo mbela. Fwansangile mtaoni ndesafia tuma motoka. Fwashile nje bacha boy. Ninshura ko ndako busaka ndelo mbako bwa furisho. Ndali ko felele kungandala ngmayalo veni madezi nganafa ko ndala mangale ya kubusaka. Nyola muntu ofuna shida na mwafwa nana yena kunganda. Mbwikala nafuna mushide kunganda na isala mtaani. Kuyasanga chula muntu alashichafu akayacha ume. Mukishafu akayacha ume. Kanshi ndi mtaoni ndesa mkubwera. Kuyasanga chula muntu na bamusenda balando je bashira nkundonda chula muntu wa pokedele na bamusenda muna fe motika ya ba dek noti ba police ni ba dek inofu bashira nsenda tule ya kuyasanga chimuntu na pokedele ali mu maseozi percent de police na bwana afana shida kula kwene kulya bana na ikele mu 1 week percent de police eko bashira nsenda kuli manje na lekala ko 2 weeks 29 months na shida kala kuchifungo fe kukula kwene ko banga kile.
Later, he led this reporter where he spends nights in corridors.
Pamadeza wenza tukisia kwa ndala fe mtaoni fimba na kufimba na ndala fe mtaoni pachipoko sifye po ndala fe kuprima sikula kunma kuose nteko ndala ne wafurisha wande waningate mwafe kusonkela kofya kanganda banshitira kofya nfya kwa filafina pa kwambira vetu fya kulya shani filafine ni muna yaka business kuna shefya ku cha panono filafine 500 G 1 pini 700 kuna mpa filafine ka business ngama plastic inga tu fiola.
Mr. Piri has continued to clean cars in town, but he looks forward for help from well-wishers. Joseph Siambehi reporting, Prime TV News in Kabwe.
A 42-year-old man of Senama compound in Mansa, Luapura province has escaped death after being dramatically rescued from a collapsed pit ratlin by the Mansa Municipal Council Fire Brigade. Mansa Municipal Council Public Relations Officer Joel Kashi says the incident occurred on January 10th at around 13:53 hours when Paul Kunda fell into a pit ratlin measuring about 1.5 meters by 1 meter and about 4 meters deep. Mr. Kashi explains that the pit latrine structure collapsed shortly after the fall, burying the victim under large amounts of loose soil, bent bricks and human waste, placing his life in immediate danger.
Mansa Municipal Fire Brigade has managed to rescue a man that fell in the pit latrine and was buried and almost dying. A 42-year-old man of Senama Township is alive and in stable condition after a dramatic rescue from a pit latrine by the Mansa Municipal Fire Brigade this afternoon. The man, identified as Mr. Paul Kunda, a resident of Chitakwa village under Chief Chumese, fell into a pit latrine measuring approximately 1.5 meters by 1 meter and about 4 meters deep at around 13:53 hours. The pit collapsed on him, burying him under more than half a ton of bent bricks and loose soil mixed with toilet contents, turning the incident into a life-threatening emergency. The alarm was raised by Ms. Ruth Mwape, an eyewitness and resident of Chitakwa village, who promptly called the fire brigade emergency line to report the incident. And acting with speed and precision, the Mansa Municipal Fire Brigade immediately mobilized to the scene using basic but effective rescue tools, including ropes, spades, buckets, picks, and fireman's axe. And the firefighters worked actively and tirelessly under hazardous conditions to free the trapped man. As we are speaking right now, Mr. Kunda has been successfully retrieved and rushed to Senama Level 1 Hospital, where he is currently receiving medical attention as he had sustained minor injuries.
Some parts of Mazabuka, Monze and surrounding areas were this week plunged into a total power blackout for 3 days following damage to an 88 kilovolt power transmission line. The outage follows heavy rains experienced on Tuesday, Tuesday 13th January 2026, which disrupted electricity supply across the affected district. ZESCO Lusaka Senior Transmission Manager Mizinga Monga says the power utility worked tirelessly to restore power supply, with full restoration expected by midnight 15th January 2026. Here is a report.
ZESCO engineers and technicians are still on the ground in Kafue district as they are carrying out repair works after the damage on an 88 kV distribution line by a heavy downpour, which led to an abrupt interruption in power supply to Mazabuka, Monze and surrounding areas. The rains caused widespread destruction on Tuesday, 13th January 2026, resulting in damage to ZESCO infrastructure, including collapsed power distribution poles. Mizinga Monga is ZESCO Lusaka Senior Transmission Manager.
We had a heavy storm coupled with the swampy area in which the towers were located. They gave in to the heavy winds, and hence we had 2 collapsed towers, which we are replacing with H-poles. And that's what led to the outage, which has affected the Mazabuka, Monze and the surrounding areas.
After assessing the full extent of the damage, the ZESCO team is now undertaking repair works as temporary pole lines are being erected. Mr. Monga says ZESCO aims to restore power supply to Mazabuka and Monze by midnight.
So we have had to navigate this swampy area to work and replace the fallen towers with the H structures that we are seeing we are replacing behind. So there are 5 of them in total. So currently we've installed 4. We are remaining with 1 more, after which we will start stringing the lines and thereafter restore the line and supply into the affected areas. We shall ensure that by midnight today, power supply is restored. So we apologize to the affected customers. And as you might be aware, the power supply situation in the country has stabilized. And I think this has really affected the customers when they are currently enjoying a stable supply.
As you can see from the background, ZESCO has been working overnight to try and restore power through erecting temporal poles. There's a lot of manual work that is happening in the background where men are now trying to dig new holes and have manual poles put temporarily just to get the lines back up so that power can be restored within the next 24 hours.
The power utility has, however, secured alternative electricity supply to critical loads in the affected districts to manage the situation. Also at Kafuanka, Prime TV News in Kafue District.
This is Prime TV2 News of the Week. We continue with the news. A Lusaka businessman Francis Chishimba has informed the court that he will give evidence on oath in a matter in which he is accused of publishing defamatory information against State House Police Advisor to President Hakainde Hichilema Chipolka Mwanawasa. Mr. Chishimba is alleged to have published claims suggesting that Ms. Mwanawasa was involved in an intimate relationship with the president and that she was pregnant. Allegations, the prosecution says, contravene provisions of the Cybersecurity and Cybercrimes Act. When the matter came up for continued trial before the Lusaka Magistrates Court, Chishimba, through his lawyer, notified the court of his decision to testify on oath and indicated that he would call for witnesses to testify in support of his defense. The accused was placed on his defense on 11th December 2025 after Lusaka Principal Magistrate Ida Piri ruled that the prosecution had established a prima facie case against him.
A Lusaka businessman accused of posting statements on social media alleging that presidential policy advisor Chipokota Mwanawasa is having an affair with someone from Plot 1 says he will take stand before the Lusaka Magistrate Court and testify in his defense. This is in a matter that Joseph Chishimba is charged with publication of information contrary to the Cybersecurity and Cybercrimes Act of the laws of Zambia. When the matter came up before the court Thursday morning, Chishimba, through his lawyer, notified the court that he opts to give evidence on oath in order to aid his defense. This is against his earlier submission at the last court proceeding, where he told the court that he wished to remain silent in his defense. However, now the accused, Chishimba, will testify and further court to stand 4 other witnesses to also testify in aid of his defense. Chishimba was placed on his defense on the 11th of December 2025 after Magistrate Ida Piri ruled that the prosecution had created a prima facie case against him, which warrants him to be placed on defense. In this matter, allegations are that the accused, Chishimba, posted that Chipokota, who is also late President Patrick Mwanawasa's daughter, is having an affair with someone from Plot 1 and might be pregnant for him. During trial, Chipokota Mwanawasa testified and told the court that Chishimba's postings and allegations have potential to ruin her hard-earned reputation that she built over the years, and that such false statements against her might cause her ridicule against her family, friends, and society, especially the young women and girls who look up to her. She assured the court that she was not pregnant and has no relationship or affair with anyone from Plot 1, explaining that she's only associated to State House through her employment as the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema's policy advisor. Magistrate Piri has set March 27, 2026 as date for possible commencement of defense. Reporting for Prime Television News, Namangolo Mshokawanji.
Stone crushers in Livingstone's Ngwenya Township have expressed worry after mining pits at a local quarry have been flooded following heavy rains in the area. The fears come amid reports that a 10-year-old boy drowned on Sunday after falling into one of the water-filled pits. Speaking to Prime TV2 News, the stone crushers said the intensified rainfall has made the quarry increasingly dangerous, posing a major risk to both workers and children in the community. They have since appealed to government authorities to urgently intervene and find a lasting solution to prevent further tragedies. Meanwhile, a check by Prime TV2 staffer Kwalombota Mwanangombe found the Ngwenya Bridge submerged due to rising water levels, leaving people stranded on both sides. We have more in the following report.
Safety concerns have been raised by local people in Livingstone's Ngwenya area with regards to the danger of mining pits that have claimed lives so far. The recent case is that of a 10-year-old boy who drowned in one of the mining pits here. Following a heavy downpour experienced on Monday night in Livingstone, the mining pits are full of water, with famous Ngwenya Bridge submerged.
Olobana patu dangerous because olo kuja mkoona kuja kunafera ko kamwana kuja because kamanzi amene so mwemonera obana babinango bangazina miname ku close up panishini imfa ya muntu so tipempa ko government
mwene kwa zulira so ili dangerous maningi like kubana bangono like last time kunagwera ko na mwana na mwalira wa 10 years then wana wa school so angapita pa mwene kwa zulira so yani kako baikulisa ko bridge.
Mutinta Stali is one of the parents who failed to take her children to school due to high water levels.
So kuenda ku school tumajumpa mumana kupeleka wana ku school so hapa wana si wanaende na ku school chifua cha mumana wazura kulibe bridge tupempe ako mtufakire ko bridge.
Area Councillor Kelvin Mambo is also concerned with safety of children in this locality.
The only way now is just to elevate this bridge. That's the only way so that water can be passing on or under the bridge. Yeah, because for now there's no safety. First of all, for the kids that are going to school, schools have opened. Schools opened yesterday. There are other pupils that need to go to school like this afternoon. But how are they going to cross? They're supposed to report to school around 10 hours, meaning they're not going to school today. They have missed out. We've warned parents that don't allow your children to be here on their own, unless if you're helping them crossing the bridge, going to school. Not like this. We lost a boy, but he's not from this community, but from another community. They came here.
Meanwhile, houses built near this stream have also been affected due to water from the stream.
Now they're in danger. If you can see this house, which is right here, and you go across this side. A lot of people are calling me now that they're being affected. Water has entered their houses.
Now, recently, Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development Minister Charles Milopi, Tourism Minister Rodney Sikumba, and Livingstone Mayor Constance Muleabai, among other government officials, visited Ngwenya and Maramba bridges to appreciate the extent of the damage caused by the rains that continue causing damages to property. Kwalambota Mwanangombe reporting for Prime TV News in Livingstone, Southern Province.
The Tanker Drivers Association Union, TDAU, has expressed concern over alleged fuel losses at the Tazama depot during fuel loading operations over the past week. Union General Secretary John Changwe says the losses are linked to 40 fuel meters, which continue to record discrepancies, despite repeated verification and calibration. Mr. Changwe has since called on the government and relevant authorities to urgently introduce the use of dipsticks and dip charts on internationally recognized method of measuring fuel volumes. He explains that the system will enable drivers to accurately confirm fuel quantities at the point of loading and compare them with volumes offloaded at their destinations, thereby reducing disputes and minimizing losses.
So far, what we have noticed is that meters, even if we are to do 100 times the verifications and calibrations, they are not going to help us in any way. So we are now saying, can the government and through ZMA kindly implement the dips and dip charts? Because all these tankers that we are seeing here, they have dips and dip charts. Why are we now crying for dips and dip charts? It's for a simple reason that when we are loading, we will be able to dip and get the correct volume. Unlike what transporters are doing, because now we have noticed that the ERB, they are also not doing their job. ZMA also, they are not, doing the job up to the standard. Because we have seen some tankers that are operating without the asset certificate. In case you don't know what is an asset certificate, it is a certificate given to a tanker after being verified that it is okay, and it is being given a specific volumes that it is going to be loading per compartment. So now, some of the tankers and some of the transporters, they do not have such asset certificates. Meaning that when a tanker driver goes for loading in Beira or in Tanzania, he will not be able to tell whether he has loaded the correct volume from that depot or not. Because they are being told now to load either above allergy or below allergy, or to load in a bulk vessel which doesn't have any measurement. So ZMA promised after they signed a memorandum of understanding with Tanzania that by 15th or 16th, I think they are going to conclude the process of implementing the dips and dip charts so that we now have a reference point. When I come here for flooding, I must dip my tanker. And when we dip, we are able to tell even the loss that I have, whether it is correct, and that should be used as a reference point after offloading at the meter. Now, according to ZMA, what they said was that 15th or 16th of January, which is this month, okay, we are able to see that the process of the implementation of the dips and dip charts is concluded. So for us, that was the deadline given to us by the institution which has the mandate to do so. So in an event that they don't do that, I think even ourselves will now be forced to abandon the depots that are giving a lot of lessons to our people. That is the step that we are going to take now.
The Food Reserve Agency, FRA, has confirmed that funds to pay off farmers that were owed by the agency after supplying maize were mobilized and transferred to financial institutions by January 10, 2026. FRA Executive Director Justin Junga says the agency is currently working closely with banks and other financial institutions to ensure that farmers receive their payments as quickly as possible. Mr. Junga has further disclosed that during the 2024-2025 crop marketing season, the FRA purchased 1,668,893.25 metric tons of white maize, valued at over 11 billion kwacha. He notes that the quantity purchased was nearly 3 times higher than the agency's initial target, reflecting increased production and farmer participation during the season. Here are the details.
After recording the highest maize purchase of over 1.6 million metric tons of white maize, valued at over 11 billion kwacha, almost 3 times the expected volume, the Food Reserve Agency has assured farmers that all payments are being processed. FRA confirms that all funds to pay farmers were mobilized by the 10th of January 2026 and that necessary resources have already been transferred to financial institutions.
The agency, working together with the board, mobilized. As we are getting to the 10th, all the funds that were outstanding by that particular time were mobilized and immediately transferred to financial institutions that are working with the agency to pay the farmers. So what we now have is a situation where the farmers' money has been mobilized and transferred to financial institutions. During the 2025 crop marketing season, the Food Reserve Agency procured a total of 1,668,893.25 metric tons.
The agency says it is currently working closely with financial institutions to ensure that farmers are paid as quickly as possible, with systems put in place to expedite the payment process.
We are now collaborating with the paying financial institutions to ensure that those farmers that have not yet been paid are timely or are also paid within the fastest possible means. We are using basically three modes of payment to the farmers. The first one that we are using the over-the-counter payments. That's the mode of payment that most of our farmers are comfortable with. The second one, for those farmers that provided us with bank accounts, we are directly transferring the value of their sales directly into accounts. And these did not even take a lot of time. Those were paid. In the course of our payments, we introduced another mode of payments, which is using mobile money transactions.
Meanwhile, the FRA is monitoring the situation nationwide following reports that a few individuals were scammed during the payment process and appropriate action is being taken. Also at Kafonka, Prime TV News, Lusaka.
The government in Rufunsa district of Lusaka province has distributed 1,200 liters of pesticide to all 12 wards in the district to help farmers protect their crops from pest infestations. District Commissioner Richard Mabena explains that the allocation of the pesticide is determined by the level of farming activity in each area. Speaking in an interview with Prime TV2 News, Mr. Mabena said the government's swift intervention is already yielding positive results, noting that even on his own farm, the chemicals have improved crop health. He has since assured farmers that the government remains committed to safeguarding crop yields from pests to ensure good harvests across the district.
Simply because certain areas, there is some bit of partial drought and there's a lot of rain and some of the fields have been swept out. So we are there like Shikaveta. It has been because most of the farmers plant their maize along the banks of the river. So that one will reduce the production. But these other areas, the yield is okay. We are going to get something slightly closer to what we got last season. Because last year we managed to have 314,000 bags of maize, which the farmers sold to FRA. And even in hours I'm talking, Lufunsa as a district, we are still holding on to about 87,000 bags by 50 kg, which we are going to start selling to the communal sales. And 3 days ago, I wrote a letter to the FRA to allow us to start doing the community sales to affected areas and those areas which need some maize. Equally, to have maize ready for feeding programs in our schools district. We received the total number for 1,200 liters, and we have 12 wards, which means other wards were getting more, the other wards were getting less because of the activities in terms of farming. I will cite one example, like the ward like Shikabeta,
The Media Network on Child's Rights and Development has urged parents and guardians to resolve domestic disputes amicably and away from children, warning that exposure to violence has lasting and damaging effects on a child's upbringing. The organization's executive director, Henry Kabwe, says domestic violence perpetuated in the presence of children often leaves deep psychological scars that affect their emotional, social, and moral development. Mr. Kabwe has emphasized that parents or guardians who fail to resolve their differences through dialogue should consider peaceful separation rather than subjecting children to a violent environment. He adds that there are various lawful and non-violent mechanisms for resolving family disputes, noting that violence has in many cases resulted in the loss of innocent lives, including those of children. Mr. Kabwe further warns that the problem is compounded when violent parents are imprisoned, leaving children vulnerable to abuse, neglect, or life on the streets due to lack of proper care and protection.
Domestic violence is a vice that a lot of parents or guardians have perpetuated in the presence of their children. But even when children are not there, it's not the right way to resolve problems, because there are various means under which parents or guardians can address their issues. But it even becomes worse when parents or guardians are applying domestic violence in the presence of their children. It sends a wrong message, and that is why we have. So even in homes, parents or guardians must use reasoning, where they discuss issues. If they fail to resolve them, they better even go as far as divorcing, because, once, people are involved in domestic violence, they end up getting imprisoned, and once imprisoned, the loved ones lose them under very difficult circumstances, and at times they end up dying, in the process because of such. So it's important that we use, better ways of resolving issues in order for us to, protect our children, protect, our society, and promote a culture where we, engage in, mature discussions other than, violent means of addressing issues.
The Zambia Meteorology Agency, ZMA, has directed all petroleum products transporters and oil marketing companies to ensure that tanker trucks used to transport fuel fully comply with mandatory meteorological control requirements as prescribed by law. ZMA Executive Director Humphrey Nkoveni says the directive is anchored in the Meteorology Act No. 6 of 2017 and the Meteorology Measuring Instruments Regulations Statutory Instrument No. 55 of 2021, particularly Regulation 27. Mr. Nkoveni explains that the requirement applies to all petroleum tanker trucks operating within Zambia, including those engaged in local and cross-border transportation, as well as tankers registered under the Energy Regulation Act of 2019 or any other written law. He has emphasized that all tanker trucks transporting petroleum products must possess a valid verification certificate issued by the Zambia Meteorology Agency. Mr. Nkoveni has warned that any tanker truck found operating without a valid verification certificate will be deemed non-compliant and will not be allowed to transport fuel for commercial purposes.
In view of that, we'd like to appeal to all the transporters to ensure that all the tanker trucks are presented to the Zambia Meteorology Agency. In the same line, we've notified all the sites, commercial sites, depots, retail sites, to ensure that the only road and off-road tanker trucks that are verified by the Zambia Metro Agency. Further, I would like to inform and guide the transporters with trucks which are already verified by the Zambia Metro Agency that they should load only according to the capacity indicated on the certificate of verification for each compartment. They shouldn't load below or over it. This is very, very important for the inspection and monitoring of compliance during loading and after loading. Therefore, I'd like to appeal to all the stakeholders to abide.
Well, that item ends the news in the week on Prime TV2, the home of breaking news. But before I go, let's take a look at the stories that made headlines. A small-scale farmer in Mansa district of Luapula province who supplied maize to the government through the Food Reserve Agency FRA has allegedly been attacked and killed after receiving payment. One person has died while 3 others sustained injuries following a road traffic accident that occurred along the Great North Road in Impika district. The body of a 25-year-old man of Kapiri Mponshi district in Central Province who drowned in Mulungushi River earlier this week has been retrieved. And lastly, an 84-year-old man of Kangwena area in Mshindamot district of Northwestern Province has escaped a mob attack during Kikondo procession in Mshindamot district. Thank you so much for staying with us. But for these and other stories, like our Facebook page, that is Ptv2 Zambia, on behalf of the entire news and production crew, this has been my Don Kiralo. Stay tuned.
Early in the morning, fire on the stove.